Hello, this is the My Artifact episode number 3846. Today's date is January 27, 2026. It's been almost like a night at 8:13 a.m. I'm not really sure, are you hearing this thing or not? Yeah, you are probably hearing, it's not really that. Okay, so should we jump into the question? Alright, let's go. Let's try to jump into the question. Okay. Alright, the question is, can I keep working even when motivation disappear and discipline is all I have? Okay, that's a really good question. Okay, first of all, what exactly is this question and why am I asking this question to myself? This is a YouTube realization question, probably. Like, it's a kind of like a thing that I need to ask bunch of questions regarding about YouTube, so that I would get realization regarding about that am I even worthy to call as a kind of like a somebody YouTuber or not. It's very deep, by the way, but yeah, it's a kind of like a thing that sometimes it's a kind of like we really need a kind of like answer, a realization, or a kind of like somebody evidence. Your brain wants evidence to execute any kind of like action, and when you try to become a something that is kind of like you will become in the future, your brain decided that it's not gonna possible. But when you ask this question, why are you want this thing, then it kind of like creates a kind of like some imaginary object that you are trying to achieve, and one day that imaginary object will become your identity. So this is what I think. Okay, this is what kind of like some question is actually about, a realization. Okay, now regarding about the question says that, can I keep working even motivation disappear and discipline all I have? By the way, this question is not only just belong to the specifically about YouTube, it kind of like somebody define regarding about life too. Okay, and it's a really good thing, it's a really good question. Now, before I kind of like give any kind of like some answer, there is a like a in when we are kind of like living the life and things and that, we kind of like say it's a kind of like something very easy and very kind of like somebody like a feel good to say this thing that no, I will kind of like follow the discipline. Okay, even if the monetization will not gonna happen, even if the money will not gonna happen, I will keep doing the stuff and things and that. The stuff that you are kind of like saying is kind of like something sounds so cool, but when the reality is actually face, then you realize that no, it's not. It is like really fucked up situation. Like, I'm 32, okay, and I am not earning any single amount of money, nothing really at all. From last 5 years, I'm kind of like doing YouTube. I'm living with the parents, kind of like feel like pathetic all the time, but I'm keep doing my content and things and that. Now it kind of like a feel real wrong every single time, but I keep doing that stuff. Now I'm not kind of like telling this thing that I'm kind of like somebody a very heroic kind of perspective. Definitely not. I'm kind of like telling you my reality. Okay, and basically is this this reality, this kind of like some things, it's just like a so fuck. Like literally every single day, I kind of like somebody wake up and I just feel like that I just like a get out and things like right now I don't really have any kind of like a choice and one thing. There is only one thing that I have, just keep doing my stuff and things and that. Okay, so that's why I'm kind of like doing it that. Okay, but this is a kind of like it feels like failure, dude. It feels like failure when there is no one is kind of like somebody giving you any kind of like somebody respect or anything, or like it felt wrong in every possible scenario. Like your analytics kind of like show it that you don't really have any kind of like views. the people around you kind of like telling you that ki you are kind of like a worthless and nothing really at all, you don't really have a money, you are kind of like simply aging, all your friends are actually gone. It just like it just feels like that ki you are kind of like a somebody trapped inside such a thing that ki world is kind of like going so ahead and you're just kind of like going backward and things and that. But still you are hoping that ki no, that one day will gonna came, that I will gonna rise, I will gonna kind of like somebody shine like a star and things and that. But that reality is it's just like it feels like fade out and things and that. No, I am not kind of like demoting you and things, and I'm kind of like telling you the reality fact, because this is my reality, dude. This is every day I kind of like wake up and kind of like do my stuff, and it does feel wrong. It does feel wrong. Like basically is this thing, yes, money is essential. It not only solve, like it not only give you happiness, but it kind of like solve 90% of your problem. So yeah, money is very essential. I'm not saying is that he kind of like somebody motivation and money, and sometimes like basically that money gives you motivation too. Yeah. Like I don't know how do I supposed to explain this thing, but there are so many people who kind of like say this thing that they get a motivation from when they get money. Okay, now like basically this thing, if you are kind of like thinking from that like a I don't know how to supposed to explain this thing. Okay, but when you get reward you kind of like feel like that no, chalo, let's do it. Let's, like, I'm on the right track and let's kind of like keep on doing and things and that. So yeah, like basically motivation is also really essential. Now sometimes okay, the motivation that you get, usually motivation kind of like get from multiple sources. Okay, yeah. Like first sources is that you kind of like watch couple of YouTube videos and things and that motivation video. Another thing is that probably a kind of like a people around you kind of like cheer you and things and that. Sometimes you will get kind of like a motivated and things and that. Sometimes external factor, like basically money and things and that. Now wait, sorry about this thing. Okay, I was kind of like somebody, whatever. So this is what I think about all this. This is the kind of like some reality that I'm trying to tell you. Okay, yeah. Now let's talk about a kind of like some discipline. Okay, yeah. Now I'm gonna kind of like give you a couple of, I don't know, is it advice or things, I don't know, but what I do to try to achieve my goals. Okay, I kind of like set some sort of kind of like pattern, routine, or task, or execution, or maybe kind of like some steps to do this thing. Okay, yeah. And this is very much essential, because let me tell you one thing, when you follow the system or routine, it kind of like somebody easier to ignore all those kind of like some demotivation or things and that. Okay, yeah. How I do that thing, first of all, is that I divert my thought process. Okay, first of all, this artifact is kind of like really helped me a lot, because usually is this thing, whatever I've been through and things and that I can express my thoughts through this artifact. So it is really essential that you have to express something what is actually inside of you. When you are kind of like going through that particular step, that things went like a really fucked up stuff like that, it is really essential that you need to found something, or maybe you need to start recording artifact, or maybe like start recording artifact. That's a bit more convenient instead of asking someone to kind of like things, because probably is this thing asking someone to kind of like listen you and things and that, those people might not exist, because in that particular process, when you are kind of like try to prove yourself, every world is a kind of like an enemy of your, like even personal person, like people who are kind of like feel like close to you, they also kind of like somebody try to stay away and things and that. I don't know, it's just my experience. If you are kind of like went through, like if you have very close person, then that is okay. For in my point of perspective, there was no one. So basically it's this thing, I just started talking to myself. artifact would kind of like really help me a lot in all the possible situation, because sometimes now I just motivate myself. Okay, and that is a very essential thing. That is kind of like a something that keep, like, I don't know, it just, I am actually pushing myself. There is kind of like, I'm not kind of like a rely on somebody to kind of like push someone else and things and that and that. Okay, so do this first. Okay, yeah, kind of like a record your artifact, or maybe kind of like somebody just like a play your kind of like a recorder, turn on the recorder, talk about things, something like that, what exactly happened. At the beginning it might gonna get awkward, but if you being consistent, then it will be really good. One thing. Step number 2 is that key, basically is this thing, get the routine. Okay, yeah, routine is really essential. It kind of like a something help you to be kind of like a part of something. Wake up morning, okay, then kind of like do your work, like basically put all your effort into the work. Okay, put all your effort into the work. Okay, another thing is that he, make sure that while doing it that, okay, yeah, maybe you are kind of like interacting with the people, and those people will kind of like tell you that what are you doing your life and things and that and that and that. Try not to argue them. Okay, yeah, maybe in this particular situation your parents might be, okay, yeah, because your parents might not understand and things and that. And also they are not wrong, no, they are also wanted to kind of like assembly, be a right person, be the person that kind of like assembly a decent success and things and that and that. But still is this thing, the way that you look the future, your parents might not see it, and obviously they are not wrong. Okay, yeah, so what exactly is this thing na ki, don't argue them, do not argue them. Like I kind of like simply give you another advice, I don't know, but I am kind of like a make sure that I will not gonna argue anyone. Okay, not parents, not. Well, why is that? Because I'm not really sure about your parents. Okay, yeah, but for me my parents are really essential. Like because of them I'm exist, and they did a lot of stuff about like in my life and things and that, to kind of like make me better and things and that and that and that. Okay, yeah, so basically is this thing na ki, instead of kind of like somebody, like basically what is actually happened now, when your father or your parents might gonna say something, you might gonna get hurtful, and because of you get hurtful, you kind of like revenge it back and things and that and that. Now in this particular situation your parents might gonna hurt a lot, because let me tell you one thing, as a child you are not loving your parents that much as compared to the parents kind of like love you too much. Like this is what it is now, I don't know, but is this thing na ki, you have to understand a child, the you, as a, let's just say you love your father, you love your father, or you love your mother. Let's just say you love your mother. Okay, yeah, the way that you love your mother, you think that ki, I love my mother 100 out of 100, but that is not. You love your mother maybe 100 out of maybe kind of like assembly 40%. Okay, yeah, but the mother loves you is kind of like more love than you love your mother. Like it's a kind of like a thing that na ki, let's just understand the comparison. Okay, yeah, let's just say you love your mother. Okay, yeah, and mother loves you. So basically the mother loves you is a kind of like a 10 out of 8. You love your mother 10 out of maybe 4 or maybe less than that. So this is what it is. Because of that na, parents are kind of like always love their child more than child love their parents. And that is true. And every parents, okay. Also, I'm not really sure about that. Ki maybe like basically in different ethnicity or maybe different continent might be kind of like a scene might be very different. I'm not really sure about that. But I'm kind of like telling you from Indian context. Okay, yeah. I'm belong to the India. I never really been anywhere around the country or I never really been around the world. So I'm not really sure about that. But this is what I experience from my point of surrounding. I am not kind of like say this thing that my point is really true, but this is what I experience. Okay, yeah, your parents kind of like a love more than you love your parents and things and that. And when you argue your parents, then your parents might gonna hurt so badly. Yeah, so badly. Okay, yeah, because they not only kind of like simply let you exist on this world, but as also they kind of like provide so many stuff, like basically effort, or kind of like a money or everything to kind of like a be there or kind of like a be the person that you are and things and that and that. And also is this thing, you are not allowed to kind of like simply treat them disrespectfully. So let's just say that if you are trying to achieve something and your parents are not really kind of like allowing you, or your parents are might not gonna support you and things and that, but still you are kind of like doing this thing, you think that it might be really good, then parents are kind of like telling you something that not do things and that and like some stuff. Just listen them, or maybe ignore them, or maybe just kind of like simply just stay there, or maybe just like if you think that you cannot able to control, then probably run away. Okay, but do not argue them. Do not argue them. That is the utmost really essential thing. Okay, I'm this kind of like telling you scenario from parents point of perspective. If you have a kind of like a particular person, maybe your fiance or things and that, I'm not really sure about that thing, because still the relation between your parents and you is a bit more different than relation between you and your fiance. Okay, so in this particular context, I'm not really sure. Example is this thing that you are trying to achieve something really goal, and basically is this thing your parents, or sorry, your kind of like somebody fiance might not gonna support and things and that. So in that particular context, I'm not really sure about what should we supposed to do, because I haven't really experienced in that particular context. So maybe in something, but I don't know, these are also human being too. Okay, and person who are kind of like a consider is your fiance is because of something, so at least you could kind of like tell her, because might be parents might not understand, but your fiance does, because she kind of like doesn't understand you, she understand everything what you've been through and things and that. Maybe talk with her, communicate with her, she definitely will gonna support. Also, I'm not gonna understand, like basically is this thing na ki these are kind of like a situation and things are also associated with the Indian context. I'm not really sure about the another ethnic or another kind of like assembly things and that. I'm not really sure about the US and Europe and how does people are actually treated over another country. I'm not really sure about that too. So this is what it is. Okay, so step number 1, record your artifact, or kind of like assembly try to find a something way so that you could supposed to express very bluntly and things and that. Another thing, follow the routine, wake up every day, run every day, kind of like do your work every day, put yourself 100% on your work and things and that. Okay, and another thing is that try not to argue people, because in the end people are kind of like loves you, that's why they are kind of like somebody exist and things and that. And fourth thing is that do not expect a kind of like a good thing happen quickly. Okay, because when you try to achieve something much more bigger, it will take time, so much amount of time, and in this particular period of time you have to be patient and you have to put lot of effort. Okay, so patience is really essential, and do not expect success will gonna get very easily. And if you get success very easily, then it comes with a kind of like some sort of something that catch. Okay, and you have to figure it out, that catch and things and that. Okay, so basically success takes times. Okay, so be patient and just be kind of like somebody, do your stuff probably. Okay, it might gonna work. And regarding about the question says that, sorry, sometime I just kind of like simply divert again regarding about the question. The question says that can I keep working even when the motivation disappear? Well, yeah, probably is this thing, yes, I true, but sometimes motivation is matter, like it is matter, I'm not kind of like say this thing that motivation does not matter. It does matter, it kind of like a push you something. Sometimes I'm not believe in motivation, but sometimes it is essential too. We need a kind of like a person or kind of like validation from somebody that am I doing something right or wrong. Okay, yeah. And as also is this thing na I don't know how do I supposed to explain this thing. It's sometimes every stuff that I would say is a kind of like something completely irrelevant, or maybe it's not really associated with this thing with you. Why is that? Because every person is kind of like comes from very different person, different destiny, different thought process and things, and that you just have to figure it out by yourself, everything. Okay, but still is this thing, even if I didn't really get motivation, Can I able to do my work? Obviously I will, because I set up my routine. I set up being disciplined, or set up a kind of like a rule of work and things and that, and I'm just keep doing my stuff. All right. So yeah, this is what I wanted to tell you. All right. So this is it. Listen. Right now I feel really good. Okay. By the way, today I didn't really went to work out. Reason was that hey, I was like today I wake up very early. Today I wake up at like a 3:30 a.m. Okay, yeah. By the way, last night I sleep at maybe 10 p.m. Okay, so 10 p.m. to 3, maybe like basically 5 hour of sleep, 5.5 hour of sleep. I took the sleep. Then after that, I went with my sister to kind of like somebody, she had something, so I went there. I kind of came at maybe afternoon at almost like a 3 p.m. and I kind of started doing my work, but I did my work till 6 p.m. and I kind of somebody had a very crazy, like just my body just automatically shut down and things, and I don't know why it's actually happened. Okay, so I thought that let's take a sleep, because last night I took the sleep almost like a 5 hours, so it's not really good. So I took the sleep. That's why I didn't really went to work out. After I sleep, I just woke up and just record the artifact. Okay, so this is it, and yeah, thank you.